Hello there! Welcome to EX101X, the course for data analysis. My name is Feline and I will be your guide through this course. And I'd like to welcome you not just to EX101X, but also to Delft University of Technology. Even though you're not here with us on campus, doing this MOOC will still make you part of the Delft family. In this building that I normally work on the 8th floor, we have the Spreadsheet Lab. This is my research group where we work with a bunch of people on making spreadsheets easier and more fun. This week is all about getting to know each other. Not just for you to get to know me, but also for you to get to know the edX platform. Maybe this is your first MOOC, so we will use the exercises of this week to get you familiar with the way of submitting exercises and homework to us. But in addition, for you to get to know me and the edX platform, this week will also allow me an opportunity to get to know you. I really want to know what your current data analysis tools are. Is this you? Are you printing out data sheets and coloring them with a marker in your office? Or maybe you use spreadsheets recreationally and plan your vacation with it. I want to know. Not just for me to be able to tailor the course towards your specific needs, but also for you to get to know each other. It's really nice if you're on the forum and you have some sense of the other people in the course. This is why for this first week we are asking you to take a picture of yourself and your computer screen with your favorite data analysis tool on it. So just open your favorite spreadsheet or database, take your phone, make a picture of yourself at your desk, or as I like to call it, an X-selfie, and send this to us so we can have a look who is on this journey with us. In this video, I will give you a little bit more insight into the syllabus of EX101X. What are we going to do together? Well, we're going to work on data analysis. I guess you understood so much, but I will tell you what we will do. In the first 6 weeks, we will work with spreadsheets only. I will teach you all the things you need to know about spreadsheets. We will address pivot tables, array formulas, how to test your spreadsheet, VLOOKUPs, all the things you need. And some people, while I was designing this MOOC, asked me the following question. Why spreadsheets? Why are you going to spend 6 weeks on spreadsheets? Especially in the era of big data. Aren't you supposed to be teaching those people Hadoop clusters or R? Well, no, spreadsheets are really relevant. One of the reasons that it's very important to teach people about spreadsheets is that they're very commonly used. 95% of all US companies still use spreadsheets for financial reporting. So if you're still doing it, you don't have to feel bad because so is everyone else. Working with spreadsheets is super common. 64% of workers use spreadsheets in their daily life. This is a survey from the US labor statistics from 2003, so it's a little bit old, but it's still a lot of people. And a more recent survey from 2009 showed that spreadsheets are the 4th most common task that people do at their job on the computer after using internet and word processing. So it's really, really common. And what happens often is that spreadsheets are designed as a one-time solution. You think, I'm only going to use this spreadsheet for this one report. You just download the data, make a graph, and this is where it will end. And often it doesn't. You know, you have that guy at the next desk and he says, oh, that's a nice report. Can I have it as well? Sure, you're a good colleague. So you email the spreadsheet to him and he changes some data and he adds a few worksheets and the spreadsheet starts leading its own life. And our research has shown that this is very common. On average, spreadsheets stay alive for 5 years and during their lifespan they are used by 12 different people. So this is why it's really important to be able to design a good error-free spreadsheet, because even though you think it's just for you, chances are very big that this spreadsheet has a very long lifespan. So that's the answer to the question why we're doing this course in spreadsheets. So in this MOOC, in all of the week's videos, we will use one running example for all of the videos that you will also work on in the exercises. And for this week, we are going to think about a spreadsheet to handle the stock exchange. I I don't make a lot of money as a professor, so I have to do a little bit of investing on the side to make ends meet. So I have this little spreadsheet where I have a bunch of companies that I own some shares from and the number of shares that I own. And of course now I want to know, how is my stock portfolio doing? Am I making money on it? So what I need for this, of course, is recent stock information. I need to know what the value of all the stocks is that I have. So what I can do for that, let me make a new worksheet and go to the Data tab. And there's a button right there, maybe you've never seen it or used it, it's called Get External Data. And with this button, I can get data into my spreadsheet from virtually everywhere. Let me show you how that works. So you click the button and you select From Web. And what happens is that Excel opens this little browser, just a normal internet browser, and I can go to any website I want. So here I go to Yahoo Finance for the AEX, the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. And what you see there is that there are little arrows in the browser that I can use to select what data I want to have in my spreadsheet. So you just click the arrow and then you click OK, and what you get, where do you want the data? Well, just in A1. And there is the data right from the web into your spreadsheet. Isn't that cool? And this data is not a copy-paste. It's not a static copy, because if you hit refresh, you will actually get a new version of the website in your spreadsheet. No coding required, just getting the data in. So this is nice. What I can do now is calculate how much money I can make on the shares that I have in my portfolio. So let's continue. I have the value right there. You see, this is what my stocks are worth. However, I can't really calculate with them yet. Let me first get the number of shares I have in. So what I will do now, I'll just copy it from the other worksheet. In next videos, we will definitely work on how to connect worksheets in a better way, but for now I'm just copying them. And what I would like to do is I want to multiply the number of shares that I have with their value. But I can't do it because the last trade value that I get from the web is just a text. It's a string, as we call it. And I cannot multiply it because not just the value is in there, but also the date and the time of the last trade. So I need to manipulate my data into being able to be calculated with. So let me add another column where I will try to obtain the real value, just the first part of the string and not the entire thing that I cannot do anything with. Well, what Excel has is a function called left, and that allows you for any text value to take a number of characters from the left. So what I can do now is here I want for this value just the first 4 characters. And then I get my value. However, I guess you maybe predicted this, for the second line this doesn't work because there are 5 characters and not 4. So I need a little bit trickery, and I can use the find function for that. What the find function does is in a given text, it looks for a specific value and it gives you the location of that string. So you see here the space is on the 5th position in our string, and we can use that in our left function. So now I'm not going to take 4 or 5. What I'm going to take is the location of the space. And then I need to deduct 1 because I don't want to include the space, I just want the first part. And if I drag this formula down, you see nicely that I only have the value, and now I can calculate something. Now I can drag this cell reference to the right, or I could also just edit the text, and now I have the right value for my stock. So I know what profit I would make if I would sell all the stocks I have for the current price taken from the web. So what you learned in this video is how to use string functions to prepare data. And this is something you are going to encounter a lot in the following weeks. The data that you get from the web or data that you download within your company often will not have the right form. You get a longer list, you get something in a string where you wanted a text file, so you have to do some data wrangling before you can actually start your calculation. This is where we left it off in the previous video. We used the left and find functions to chop off that part of data that we need in order for us to be able to use the value in calculations. And in the meantime, you in the exercises have also added this trend column where you chop off the first part of the change column. And I'm not going to show you the formula, so if you haven't done the exercises yet, you still have an opportunity to do so. And what I've also done in the meantime is I've added not just the value, the number of shares I have for the first row, but also for all of the others. So I've just gone back to this first worksheet and copied all the data in. And as I said in a previous video, yes, I will explain you a better way to connect two worksheets together. If you already know it, don't worry, this is not how I think it's done. But for this exercise, it's just easier to copy the data in. So this is typically the point if you have a lot of columns where you're going to want to clean up your worksheet. If it doesn't fit on the screen anymore, it's time to do some organization. So let's scroll back to the first columns, and these first 5 columns, they have a special role, right? They are imported from the web. So we can indicate that to future users of the worksheet by adding a column here, a border on the side of the column. And here are 2 other columns that play a different role because they are built on the web data, and then I have 2 more columns. And if I've done this, I don't really need the original values anymore because with my string operation I have retrieved the information that I need. And I can still refresh the data even though the columns are hidden. The calculation is still refreshed after I hit the refresh button. So this already looks a lot nicer. Now in one view you can see what's going on. Only that final column is bothering me a little bit because some of the values have 2 and others have 1 decimal. So what we can do here in this cell formatting pop-up that you bring up by hitting Ctrl+1, we can set the number of decimals. But we can go further than that. We can even indicate that the value is a currency and add the euro symbol before it. So it's a lot more clear for someone who is going to work with this spreadsheet. And you remember from the first video that are probably 12 people over the next 5 years, it's a lot clearer for them what this value means because you can see this is money that we're talking about. So organize your spreadsheet well. If you have people over to your house, you're going to clean your house. If people are going to look at your spreadsheet, you organize your worksheet. And in the spreadsheet that you're going to send in for the homework, we are going to look at your spreadsheet, or you are going to peer review other people's spreadsheets. And this is one of the things that we will be paying attention to in those reviews. This is where we left it off in the previous video. We've nicely organized our worksheet and we're calculating the profit, the potential profit that we could make by selling all of our shares. But of course, now that we have added this trend column, we want to do something with it. We don't want to sell all our shares if the price is going up. So we want to make a calculation based on the trends. We will make the decision, are we selling or are we not selling? So how does this look like? We will add another worksheet, another column in this worksheet that we're going to call the number of the amount that we're going to sell based on the trend. So let's add another column, amount to sell. And then here we will use a conditional formula, the if formula. And that works as following. The first part of the if formula says, what are we going to look at? So we say if the trend, the G column, is equal to up. In that case, after the comma, we say what we are doing. Well, if the trend is going up, we're not selling anything. We're selling 0 shares. In the other case, if the trend is going down, let's say we sell half of our shares. We still remain half of it, but we want to sell half just to be safe if things are going wrong. And you see now, in the first line, we're not selling anything, and in subsequent lines, in case the shares are going down, yes, we are selling half of the shares that we have. And what I can do now here to round, as we've done in the previous video, is I could set it to 0 decimals, because I don't want, of course, to sell half a share. That's not possible. But what I could also do here instead is use the round function. It has the same function. It works the same. Some people prefer to use a round function because it's more clear what exactly is going on. You can see in the formula that something is being rounded, and still our data is connected to the web feed. So if we hit refresh, and if something would have changed in the meantime, everything in the worksheet changes. So the data and the formulas, and then also ultimately the decision of how much shares we're going to sell. So maybe you notice now that something is wrong in this worksheet. Maybe you are yelling at your computer screen, wait, I found a mistake. Do you know what? This profit column is now based on the number of shares that I have, all of them. But if I'm not selling all of them, of course, I'm also not going to make profit out of all of them. So what I need to do is update my formula, not to be calculated based on the shares I have, but on the shares that I'm going to sell based on the trend. And what happens now here is that this profit is depending on the column left and right to it. And that's not something we like. If we talk about organizing your worksheet, we want the data to flow nicely through your spreadsheet from left to right. So I've swapped those two columns, and now the flow is nicely logical as you would read it normally from left to right. So that's also an organization factor that you can take into account when you are designing your own spreadsheets. So there's one more thing that we want to do. What we want to do is calculate the health of the portfolio that we have. So I want to know, do I have a lot of up shares and a lot of down shares? Because if a big part of my portfolio is going down, maybe I want to make some other decisions. I want to buy additional shares that are going up. So what I could do potentially is I could use another conditional formula, as you see here. I could say if the shares are going up, then I want to have the number of shares, and otherwise I have 0. And then in one column, I get a list of all the shares that are going up. And I could do the exact same thing for down, same function. If the shares are going down, if the trend is equal to down, then I pick the number of shares, and otherwise I pick 0. And then I have two columns in which one is all the up shares and the other is all the down shares. And then, of course, I guess you understand this, at the end of the worksheet I can add a sum function, and then I get an overview of the health of my portfolio, what part of it is going up and what part of it is going down. Let's see how that looks like. I'm going to sum this entire column. There we go. So 1,800 shares going up, and if I drag it, about 700 shares going down. So my portfolio looks pretty okay because a lot more shares are going up than that are going down. However, this calculation is long. You need 2 additional columns and 2 additional sum formulas just to get an idea of how things are going. This can be done in an easier way, and let me show you how. So let's zoom out a little bit. Then you see all the extra information, all the extra space that we need, 2 extra columns, just to calculate these 3 values that are up and down. So let's not do it. Let's clear this room. We are going to do it away with it. We don't need it anymore. Right click, clear contents. There we go. We don't need it anymore. Let me show you a better and way more compact way to actually analyze the health of our portfolio. What we can use is a list of all the types. So we say we're looking for shares that are going up and shares that are going down. And then we use the sumif function. It's a combination of course, the sum and the if. And how this function works is that I can pick part of my spreadsheet. So I click one column and I say I'm going to look at everything that matches in that column. So where am I going to look is the first part of the function. In the trend column, I'm going to look if something is going on, like with the normal if. Well, what do I need to compare to? Is exactly the same as in the sum. As in the if function, I'm comparing, is the trend equal to up? And I've just made a list of this. And what am I summing? The number of shares. And you see me drag down, and the exact same result is appearing as when we had the entire column with the sums. So it's a lot conciser, and also it allows us for easily adding other types of trends. For instance, we have a flat trend where nothing is changing. We can just add flat to the list and drag the formula down, whereas in the old situation we needed an extra column for every new share type. So the sumif is a really nice combination of the sum and the if that takes up a lot less space and is more flexible if you want to change your worksheets. So this week we've looked at an example of a spreadsheet where we're calculating the value of stocks. We've looked at functions to manipulate strings, text values. We looked at conditional formulas, the if and the sumif, and pieced everything together with data taken from the web. So that's everything we want to talk about this week. Just one more thing, let me ask you once more to post your Excel fees on the forum so we have an idea of who we're working with. See you next week.